Why English vocabulary is useful for your daily language, and why English vocabulary is plays an important role in our day-to-day life. So that is now when we speak of vocabulary, we mean the words that we make, the words, the grammar, the spellings that we take into consideration is known as English vocabulary. Now, when we are into English vocabulary, how we are going to develop English vocabulary, that is also very, very important. What is reading skills and what is vocabulary? Now, before we take into consideration English, you'll see that the common mistakes that we make. We are going to start with the common mistakes. Why? Because we generally have a tendency to avoid English grammar as well as English vocabulary. We do not tend to learn our grammar well or take our grammar much more seriously, which creates a major problem. We do not learn our grammar, English grammar well, and that makes our vocabulary building very less. Now, what are the major mistakes we make? The way we make a sentence makes the grammatical sentence many times correct. The way we write subject, predicate, everything becomes many times the sentence goes wrong. The way we write the subject, the predicate and the verb, especially known as subject verb predicate error. So that becomes a major problem while we are learning the vocabularies. This is also mainly mistakes in grammar. Now, one more thing, when we make the common mistake that we make in grammar is sentence structures. When we write sentences, we make a major mistakes with the sentence structure. We try to construct one long sentence without breaking the sentence into fragments. And even though we are breaking the sentence into fragments, what happens? We are not breaking the segments into correct fragments. We are just breaking, we just put a full stop or a comma or the punctuation marks wherever we think it is necessary. We do not follow the grammatical part. It is told that if you want to write proper sentences, what you should do is that you should use your grammar well. That is, you should write small sentences with proper use of punctuation. If you make mistakes of punctuation, then what is going to happen? Then the mistake is that the meaning of the sentence may go wrong. So that is why your sentence should always be fragmented, and you should always try to attempt small sentences instead. And even if you are writing a big sentence, you should use different forms like complex, compound, simple, passive voice, negative, affirmative. So there are different types of sentences which you can use. Next is the way we use our apostrophe, especially when we write our letters. The last part we write yours. Now, yours sincerely, the way we write yours changes the whole pattern of writing, because apostrophe, where we put the apostrophe, it is very important for us to put the apostrophe in the correct place. Mistake of the apostrophe being put in the correct place creates a major problem for the sentence. It may change the meaning of the sentence. So it is very important that we use the apostrophe in the proper sentence, proper way. Wrong word usage. Many times we get confused with the use or how we are going to use the words. How we are going to use the words. Many times we don't know our homophones well or homograms well. So when we do not know our homograms well or the homophones well, it creates a major problem, and we put the sentence or we put the word in the wrong manner. We think that if we are writing long sentences using idioms, using phrases, then only our sentence structure is good. Otherwise, our sentence is completely, otherwise our writing is not good. But it is not so. When we are writing it, when we are if we are using too much of phrases, then the value of the sentence get missed off. Then the value of the sentence is no more there. Sometimes we only forget what we actually want to tell. So that is why if you are using weight phrases, if you are using a lot of phrases, you should remember that during the uses of phrase, you should not follow the meaning, actual meaning, and the sentence or the word should not be lose its meaning. So that is how we see that vocabulary is very, very useful. Now, next, when we are using our vocabulary, improving our vocabulary is two ways. It is like in the writing form also, and it is also in the oral form. So when we are using in the type of English that we use, the types of English, that is conversational English, the way we are having a conversation. Now we have conversation with different type of people. One, we have a family. Second, we have a friends. Third, we have the work environment where we are working. So, there is also a work friend, like a work and a casual relationship. So we use different types of languages at different places. We do not use the same language at different places. Being Indians, we know that there is a slang language. Slang means when we are with our friends, it is we use the slang language, slang the way, because we know that our friends are not going to mind it at all. So that is where we use our slang language. Casual language is especially when we are family. Many times the way we speak to our friends, we cannot speak to our family in the same manner. So, but we do speak to them in a very casual manner. So that is why there is a relationship of like casual. If we are talking to our parents, our family, there are relatives, there are grandparents. So when we are talking to them or any neighbors, so there we are in a casual relationship. So we are having a casual talk over there. Next is work relationship. During work relationship, our communication is very formal. We when we are speaking, we limit ourselves to the vocabulary use. Either we don't speak to many people, or whenever we are speaking to people, we have a restraint in ourselves in which we are speaking. Otherwise, and we do not use we neither use slang, or neither we are very casual in our behavior. And then we have work casual. Now, when we are working, you also have a tendency of having friends. You have good friends in your workplace. So, but still you maintain a dignified relationship with them. So that is work casual, where you are working also, but you are having a conversation which is sometimes casual and sometimes very formal in nature also. Now, when you are having a conversation, you should also increase your vocabulary. We think that only writing helps us to have good conversational English, but it is completely wrong. It is not writing that helps us to have good conversational English, but it is also the way we are speaking also helps in good. You have to have your English well. Otherwise, you are going to have a major problem there. You have seen that when you go to interviews, we fall short of words. That time we don't find words. When we are giving a presentation, we fall short of words. So that is the time also when we should increase our vocabulary. We should pay attention to our vocabulary. How you are going to increase your vocabulary level or your level of conversation? First, you should have a lot of confidence. We are very aware of our audience around us. We always think about the audience. The first thing when you go to speaking, we first think about the audience, to whom you are speaking. Like according to audience, we restrain ourselves. So first is you have to build your confidence among yourself, that when you are speaking, with someone, you should have a good level of confidence. You should not feel afraid, or you should not feel nervous during their conversation. So that is why you should continuously practice during the to have good conversational do good conversation with people. Learn to be next, you should be a good language expert, and not language exchange expert. Now, what does language exchange expert means? That you should know how to speak in a proper way. You should know how to use the words with whom you are speaking, and when is the right time to exchange the word. Next, you should generally write a script. A script means you should prepare yourself. Especially this happens when we are in a work relationship, or we are getting into a formal conversation. That is why we make a script. It is told that whenever you are having a conversation, it is always better that you make a script before you are speaking. Before you are giving a presentation, it is always good that you prepare yourself. You make a way in which you are going to speak to the audience. So that is how it is important that you should you should write a script. Even suppose you are going for anchoring, you are going for anchoring, you are going to speak on the stage. Always don't be overconfident that I am going to I can speak on the spot. Yes, you can speak on the spot, but it is always better that we keep a script ready with ourselves, and we keep practicing. It is not always needed that we should have a written script. We can practice, and mentally we can prepare ourselves so that we can remember what we are speaking at that particular point of time. When you are speaking, suppose you are going to give a presentation on marketing, so you need to study those topics very thoroughly and clearly. If we do not study those topics thoroughly and clearly, then we will be falling short of words at a particular time. So we should always speak about the topics given to us. Suppose we are given particular topics, then what is necessary that during the conversation we should not fall short of words. So it is very important that we learn the topics very well. We speak through the topics very well. Learn the vocabulary whenever necessary. You should learn your vocabulary whenever it is necessary. Sometimes when we are giving a speech on the stage, according to the occasion, we write down several words. That is what the vocabulary means. You have to pick up certain words so that you can increase your vocabulary. But this, when is going to happen? The increase in vocabulary, the way in which you can have a conversation, these are going to be effective only when you give importance to grammar. Only when you know that your grammar is easy. Only when you know that you're going to pay attention to your grammar. Only when you pay attention to your grammar, only when you practice your grammar, that is the only time when you will feel that, yes, I am ready for conversation, and your conversation is going to be good. Now, increasing your vocabulary is, of course, practicing grammar. Now, how do you make new words? You make new words by practicing grammar. Basically, what is it? You need to know your parts of speech very well. Till now, even many a times, what happens, even after crossing a school level, we are not clear about our basic English. We are not clear about the basic knowledge about parts of speech. We are very confused about the parts of speech and figures of speech. So first basic thing is that you should know your parts of speech very well. The 8 parts of speech, that is noun, pronoun, verb, adverb, adjective, preposition, conjunction, interjection. Many a times we don't write, even we get confused between noun, abstract noun, and are the adjectives, and we don't know that adjectives are like, now to make things more easy, you know that adjectives are known as describing verbs are known as action words. So these makes things much more easy. So what happens over here, we know that you can make new words. So the first thing is that you should know your grammar, your parts of speech very well. Now figure of speech are very different. Figure of speech are like simile, oxymoron, metaphor, then hyperbole. So where these are used for speeches and these are used for poems especially. So now coming back to grammar, we should pay attention to the making of words. Making of words means affixes. Affixes compromises of what? Suffix and prefix. Now when you can add a word afterward and before. The word, many a time, like happy is the word. When we add un before it, it becomes unhappy. So un is the prefix. Now many a time we add ness, like happiness. When we add after the word happy, it becomes, ness is a suffix. So we add a suffix. So this prefix and suffix is known as affixes that we use in our grammar. So we should know how to make new words. There are hundreds of new words. Many times we write full, F-U-L full and F-U-L-L full are two different things. But still we make this major mistake of writing F-U-L-L full. Like we write beautiful and we put into B-E-A-U-T-I-F-U-L-L full. And many times we like misunderstanding in front of miss, instead of writing M-I-S, miss, we have a tendency to write M-I-S-S, misunderstanding. So this creates this small mistakes creates a major problem. So when we are building our vocabulary, we should see that these things, that these small mistakes are avoided. These small mistakes are completely avoided when we are writing the spelling. Now, many a times we have this writing, when we are writing or speaking, we have a tendency of using one word many times. Now, when we are using one word several times, what happens? It becomes very monotonous to hear. It becomes like, suppose you're giving a speech about yourself. You tell about the school or about your college. So you tell that, or about your work experience. If you are using like, I have worked with TCS for so many years, then I have worked with TCS in another in Patna, in Delhi for so many years. Then I moved to. So this repetition of I makes the words difficult, makes the hearing very monotonous and boring. So we should generally avoid these things in the sentence or these things in the words. We should not use repeated. Instead, what we should pay attention towards is that we should pay attention towards synonyms and antonyms. We should synonyms is this like words with same meaning. So we should make a dictionary of ourselves in which we can find, like for happy, we can find different words: mirth, smiling face, happiness, fun. So we can use different words for one particular word. Instead of writing the sentence in one particular way, you can change the structure of the sentence also. So, but keeping the sentence structure aside, we can use different types of synonyms and antonyms also. Synonyms and antonyms will help you to know one word which also has, there are many words in it, there are many dictions in it. So you should always keep in mind that you learning synonyms and antonyms will automatically increase the level of your vocabulary. Next, you have homophones. What are homophones? Many times we have words with same pronunciation, but the meaning is different. Like night, night. Now K-N-I-G-H-T, night, and one is night. One is night, day and night. The other is the night, the soldiers who are fighting, or the king and the knight. We have the Kolkata Knight Riders. So that is how the knights are there. Then we have here and here. We make a lot of mistake. There and there. T-H-E-I-R there and T-H-E-R-E there. So these are words that have the same pronunciation but the spellings are wrong. These applies when you are writing, not when you are speaking. So when you are writing, if you forget the spellings over here, or if you forget to use the correct spelling in this particular section, what happens? The whole thing goes wrong. The whole section goes wrong over here. So it is very important that you know your grammar very, very well. You know your synonyms well. You know your homophones well. And you know your word vocabulary also very well. We told that you should know your now your parts of speech. Now we have like the nouns also. We just read into the cream layer of the nouns, but we do not go into the deep layers of the noun. So until and unless we go into the deep layer of the noun, we will not be able to find out what it is actually about. Many a times we write a group of elephant pass through the jungle, but it is not a group of elephant. We write a group of lions pass through the jungle, but we don't know the right collective noun over there. It is like it's a pride of lion, a herd of cattle, a soul of fish, but we generally use like group of lions, group of animals, group of people, a bunch of flowers. But bunch is for sticks. We use bunch for sticks. We should use a bouquet of flowers. So that is how it is necessary that we should know our nouns well. Nouns is proper noun, common noun. Many times we tend to get confused between proper noun and common noun. This mistake comes when we are writing. We do not understand the nouns properly. We have a tendency of writing proper noun in small letters, not in capital letters. That is the major mistake. Some some mistakes come when you are reading, and some mistake comes when you are writing. Next is abstract noun. Abstract noun, we have the feelings that we cannot be seen, but it just you have to feel. You have collective noun, compound noun, possessive noun, regular and pronoun noun, irregular and plural noun. So all these now, irregular and plural, are where you don't add s, but you have like foot, feet, teeth, tooth, teeth, man, men, woman, women, child, children. So all these are where you are using the words properly. So that is what you should keep a track of the nouns that you are writing. Now, next is adjectives. When we are making the adjectives, many a time we forget what adjectives are. We have a tendency of using the same adjective several times. We do not think of writing new adjectives or formation of new adjectives. Now, formation of new adjectives, sometimes when you write new adjectives, you make new adjectives. How? By adding suffixes and prefixes. Like fool, from fool to we make foolish. From self we make selfish. From friend we make friendly or friendless. From nerve we make nervous. Mystery, mysterious. So we have those different words that are, so we making of adjectives. Many a times that we forget how to make new words. We stick to those same words that are being formed. So basically, vocabulary is used especially when you have the use of your language well. If you are not using your language well, it becomes very, very difficult. The whole thing over here is that to increase your vocabulary, you need to know your grammar. Now, with your vocabulary, you have a topic which is reading skill. Why reading skills? Because we don't have a habit of reading one thing. We have a tendency of skipping the readings. It is always told that if you want to increase your vocabulary, what you should do, you should read properly, you should read nicely, you should read newspapers, you should read books, you should read magazines. Why? Because when we read a particular article or a particular book or a magazine, we see how language is implemented over there. Because knowing your grammar is only useful, maybe you know your grammar very well, but it is only useful when you know how to implement it in the correct place. If you don't know how to implement it in the correct place, then it becomes very, very difficult for you to give your 100%. That comes when you are reading a newspaper daily, and you have to read it very minutely. You just can't scan the paper the way you just can't just skip over and see what is written. You have to really get into it and see the words, and read the sentences, underline the phrases. Then only you will know your vocabulary well, or your vocabulary, then only you can increase your vocabulary. You will know. When you read newspapers, we see that newspaper articles are very innovative. It does not have any, like, the writings are very nice and catchy. It does not have any sense of monotonousness, or we are not bored to read a newspaper every day. We hear the same news in our television, but a newspaper is a must for everyone. It is a must in everyone's life. So if we do not have a newspaper with us, we feel like something is empty. And you find that newspapers come every day with every new articles coming in. Maybe one incident, the article of one incident is being written many times, but it is written in different level, and it is being written in different forms, so that you don't get bored. You will find use of new words, new phrases, So all these are there in your reading process. So only when you read the newspaper, then you only will find that how the words are used, how simple words are used, how the sentence structure is formed, and how the grammar is given importance. We have many a times we think that in newspapers the articles that are written are very highly formed, like with different idioms and phrases. But if you read those idioms and phrases, then only you will be able to make out that what is an idiom and what is a phrase. What is an idiom? It is an expression that made in a combination of words. But phrase, it is like a group of words, but it has a different expression. But on the other hand, idiom is an expression, but the meaning is rather different. Like we tell, it is raining cats and dogs. Now, cats and dogs, over here, we are thinking, what does cats and dogs has to do with rains? Cats and dogs means it is raining heavily. The word is the use of word is different, but when you are telling the meaning, then it is different. Then it is the use of cats and dogs and the meaning are completely different. We have the idiom like this gift of the gab. Now, gift of the gab is nothing related, but it actually means that a person who speaks very well. But in phrases, phrases are a group of words, but it has the actual meaning. The words itself tell the meaning. It tells the person is full of innocence. Now, full of innocence or is found guilty. So, full of innocence, or we tell that the person, Birbil is famous for its wits. Wits and wisdom. So these wits and wisdom are phrases. Throw truffles over temper. So these are phrases which actually means what the person is telling, what the words imply, that has the meaning. But the idioms, the use of the words and the meaning is different. But the phrases is the use of the words and the meaning. You can find the meaning from the word itself, but in idioms you will never be able to find the meaning from the word itself. You have to learn those things. So and uses of mediums are important. So when you are using the words, you should use the words in a proper way. You should use your language in a proper way, and basically you should read before you if you really want your vocabulary to be increased, you should read things in a minute way, and you should read things very, very properly. If you are not reading, and if your grammar is very poor, then it makes your writing difficult. Then if you learn your idioms and you don't know the application of your idioms, then of course what is going to happen, you're not going to know where to use which type of words. So if your increase of vocabulary and of course your reading skills are all interlinked with each other, and you should do both the things simultaneously, so that you become really well developed, well polished with your English language.